everyone, Letty here. Welcome to hashtag N2S January 24. I have another not too shabby January releases video. We're going to smash two 6x6 pads and make some more donation cards. Welcome back everyone. I'm on the design team for the Not Too Shabby shop for this term. Here's their logo. I will list a website affiliate link down in the description box below. Today I have some of the new January subscriptions. We have the Paper Pad Club and add-on ephemera pack, as well as the stamp and die set of the month. I'm going to show you these items. We'll do a quick little unboxing and then I'll also do some projects today. So the Paper Pad Club comes with two paper pads. We have the African Critters paper pad and then the Arctic Critters paper pad. And so you get two paper pads. They're 6x6, 12 designs each. One of them does have a coordinating ephemera pack, which is the Arctic Critters ephemera pack. Really cute critters, and it coordinates with this Arctic Critters paper. So here is a still shot of what comes in that ephemera pack. Lots of critters and a few other like floral elements. So again, that's coordinating with this Arctic Critters 6x6, 12 designs. It's really cute. A lot of soft pastels in this one. There are some great patterns as well as some fun like critter images as well. So this is double-sided sheets of paper, 24 total. Then the second paper pad is called African Critters, and this one is also 12 designs, 24 sheets total. Really cute. You've got lots of, again, subtle like pastel images. You also have some 4 sheets of these cut aparts. You've got 4 little critter elements and then some floral elements as well. So you've got 4 sheets of those cut aparts. Again, African Critters. So you've got 2 paper pads and an add-on ephemera. Then we have the stamp and die set of the month, and this one is called Safari Friends. This one coordinates pretty well with that second paper pad. You've got some just really cute critters here, a couple of sentiments, and then the coordinating dies, which do die cut out the sentiments as well as a little section of this little monkey that has a little hole in the background. So that'll be super cute. I'll show you that in just a second. Here are some of the images. You've got your giraffe. You also have a cute little monkey. There's that little hole right there between his tail and his body. Then you have a little lion, and then you've got a little baby elephant as well. So you've got some cute little critters. You've got a leaf, a little floral image as additional embellishment. And then we've got 2 sentiments. You have You Are Roarsome, super cute. And then we also have It's Your Birthday, Go Wild. So those were all the stamp and die set images. I've already stamped them, colored them, and then die cut them out just to kind of show you an example. Super cute. I also colored them in some pastel colors to coordinate with that African Critters paper pad. Again, we have the Paper Pad Club, the add-on ephemera, and the Not Too Shabby stamp and die set of the month. And let's go ahead and dive into today's project. So before we dive in, let me show you my previous projects so far this month. I made 18 easy ephemera cards. This was my project number 1. I primarily used the Arctic Critters paper pad to make those. Then video number 2, I did 7 cards using the November 2020 SheetLoad of cards by Call Me Crafty Owl. And then off camera, I actually did an additional 21 cards using that same sketch, the November 2020 sheetload of cards. I'll do a full recap of what all the cards look like at the very end of this video. So we have 46 donation cards so far from these 2 pads. Now here's what remains. I have a little bit of African Critter scraps, a little bit of Arctic Critter scraps. I have a couple of those ephemeras that I die cut out of the pad. I have 9 sheets of the African Critters paper pad left and 12 sheets of the Arctic Critters paper pad left. I do have also just a few pieces of ephemera from that Arctic Critters ephemera pack that coordinated with the Paper Pad Club this month. So that's what I have. I decided I want to smash the rest of this and make some more donation cards. Again, I'll do a full recap of what all the cards look like at the end, but we're going to dive into 2 projects today. So we're going to smash this African Critters paper pad. So I've already cut everything out and I've already taken off the little excess glue from the top, and we're going to smash the Arctic Critters paper pad as well. We'll start with the African Critters and then we'll jump into the Arctic Critters. So we'll have 2 different projects today. And then at the end, I'll do a full recap of all of the cards. So again, I have 9 sheets left of this double-sided paper. This is from Arctic Critters. This is from Not Too Shabby. You see here, you have pattern on one side, solid on the other. What I want to do today is bring in the Crafty Mama Diary sketch number 1 to use these papers. I'll have very little scraps. And that's one of my goals. I brought in some white die cut circles. I'm going to bring in some of my stamped images bases. I brought in some of my pre-store-bought card bases that I had picked up from Hobby Lobby that I had in my stash. I've been trying to use these up the last month or so, so I'm going to use the rest of those. I have already glued some of these little images off camera to the die cut circles. And let me show you, I even use the backs of the paper packs. They come with like a white backing, a white cardstock backing. I even die cut out my circles out of those backs. So this is what I have left of those backings. So this is going to be a total smash video today. And so what we'll do is we'll take these sheets of paper. I'm going to show you how to cut down one. We're going to assemble one, and then off camera, I'll finish doing the rest of them. So make sure your orientation is upright, meaning the top to the top, and we're going to cut. Now I am going to do a horizontal pattern here, and I'm going to go ahead and cover that little branding strip that had the Paper Studio like branding, but make sure your paper is upright in your paper trimmer. Cut it at 5 1/4 on the 6-inch side. Again, make sure it's up and down, your regular right side up. Then you're going to rotate the larger piece once, and you're going to cut it at 4 inches on the 6-inch side again. So you'll be left with a 2-inch piece and a 4-inch piece, just like this. And then you'll have one little scrap. Now you're going to save that scrap because we're going to use it. But what we'll do is flip over the 2-inch piece, make a little fishtail banner, add our little decoration right on the inside, and then that is going to be our card. Now with that little scrap, we're going to add that to the inside of the card. So we're going to finish cutting this down at 5 1/4 on the 6-inch side, just like this, so that way it fits inside. This is our only scrap of this entire sheet of 6x6, and we're going to make one whole card just from that one sheet. So let's go ahead and dive into the fishtail banner. So what we'll do is take that 2-inch piece, cut a little slit right in the middle of the edge, and then cut from the corners right up to the center piece of that cut that you initially did. That's how you would make a fishtail banner. We're going to do it on both sides. I'm going to repeat that process on the other side, a little cut about 1/2 inch up, and then connect the corners to the top of that 1/2 inch cut, just like this. So we'll have a little fishtail banner on both sides, which is perfect for our sketch. And so now I have all of my pieces. Again, I'm going to cover that one little branding strip that's there at the bottom of my card base. If you were using just regular handmade card bases, obviously that would not be a problem, but I'm going to go ahead and use these store-bought ones from my stash. Let's go ahead and assemble this card together. So I'm going to start by gluing down this large mat, and then I'm going to glue it to my card base, again making sure that I cover up that little branding strip at the bottom. And then I'm going to add my fishtailed banner strip that's 2 inches right on the inside. Then I'm going to add my white die cut circle to the center of that, and then I will glue down my stamped, colored, and die cut out image. This is from the Safari Friends stamp and die set from Not Too Shabby this month. So I'm going to add that to my card, and then what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and glue the little strip that was a scrap. I'm going to glue that to the inside of my card just to get it out of the way. So we'll go ahead and glue that to the inside just like this. So here's generally our basic card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in those little sentiments that I had in my stash that I had stamped and die cut out from the stamp and die set of the month, and I'm using this You Are Roarsome, and I'm showing you here that there's a lot of different places that you could put this. I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the bottom, almost like if the little lion is sitting on top of the words. So I'm going to add that to the bottom. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but these are going to be some donation cards. So here's a side-by-side comparison with the sketch. So super easy, very minimal scraps. This is one of my go-tos ever since Helen created this sketch. So I'm going to off camera cut the rest of these and assemble these cards using these store-bought card bases and the items that I had in my stash here. We're going to make the rest of those cards, and then we'll jump into project 2. I'm back. I have finished this paper pad, the African Critters. Here are all of the scraps that I had left from all of my different projects that I made using this paper pad. You see here, there are even the little triangles from the fishtail banners. I did finish off Fall Is Coming enamel dots from Not Too Shabby, and then I did use a few from the Let's Get Cool collection as well. So I was able to bring in some enamel dots from my stash to finish off these cards. I added 3 to each card front, just like this. I will do a full recap at the very end, but let me just show you, I did add that scrap on the inside. You saw that. So so far I've made this initial set of cards. I did come back and add some additional scraps to the inside. That's why I only had very little scraps left over. So these are all the cards that I had. I had 37 total cards that I was able to make from this African Critters 6x6 paper pad from Not Too Shabby. So that's just an amazing number of cards from one paper pad. Let's jump into Arctic Critters now. So I had 12 sheets of 6x6 paper left over before I started today's project. 12 sheets total, double-sided. There's there's 2 of each of the different 6 designs that come in this paper pad. They are double-sided. So you see here, these are all the different ones. And so I was looking at these papers, and this one in particular has kind of a little bit of a different layout. And so I was a little bit more limited on what I wanted to do or what I could do. So what I'm doing is I am going to go ahead and use a former Not Too Shabby sketch from their blog. I'm also going to use some of these card bases that I had in my stash. Again, store-bought. I'm just trying to use them up this year. So I'm bringing those back in for today's project. And then I am going to go ahead and try to use up the rest of this ephemera from the Arctic Critters ephemera. This was the add-on. I have some sentiments that I had already printed from my stash. I'm bringing in for these cards as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to cut down your paper so that way you can do this card sketch. The beauty of this sketch is that you have no scraps left over after you cut down one sheet of 6x6. So make sure your orientation is upright again, which is the top to the top. Cut it at 4 inches. So again, we have a 4 and a 2 inch strip. Now on your larger piece, turn it to the right once. You're going to cut it at 5 1/4 on the 6 inch side. So now you've got a larger mat, a little scrap that will go on the inside of our card, and then you've got a 2 inch strip. We're going to take that 2 inch strip and we're going to cut it down into 3 sections of 2 by 2. So cut it on the 6 inch side at 4 and then at 2. So you're going to do 2 cuts with 2 inches each. So here are our 3 little squares. They're 2 by 2s. Here is our large mat, 4 by 5 1/4. Just like this, you can kind of see here the side by side of kind of where I'm going with this sketch here with my one sheet of paper. You will add a sentiment towards the bottom, and then this little scrap is going to go on the inside of our card. So I love this. This is a no scrap challenge or sketch. I absolutely love that. Again, I'm going to cover that little branding strip, and then I'm adding that scrap right on the inside of my card. We won't have any waste left over on this one, no scraps at all, which is one of my goals in every project. The beauty of this also is you can mix and match the different patterns, and that way you can have 3 different squares. So I'm going to cut all of these papers off camera, and I'll be right back to show you what my usual next step is. But let me show you get everything from that one sheet of 6x6 paper. So I'll cut all of these, I'll pair it up with the ephemera, and then we'll finish off these cards. Okay, so I have all of my papers cut up. I have everything sort of laid out. I have my larger mats with the coordinating small strips that are going to go on the insides of the cards. This is generally how I do a mass production style of card making, is I just lay everything out. I've got all 6 of the designs, and I've got 6 of each because I got 3 from each paper and I had 2 of each paper. So we've got our little squares here, and you can see here I don't have any sheets left over from that Arctic Critters paper pad. And so what I'm going to do is lay out all of the different large mats, and I'm going to lay them out by the main design type, just like this. So I'm laying all 6 of the designs out, that way I can see them right in front of me. Then I'm going to take all of these little squares and I'm just going to very quickly match them up with what designs I think look best as far as the overall combination. Now, the beauty of this is you can sort of do multiples at once because you've got 2 mats, 2 large mats. So you can put down 2 of each of the small little squares of each pattern. So once you have these sort of set, you'll have 3 squares for each large mat, and they'll be ready to make your cards. So I've already prepped most of the cards off camera. I'm going to do this last one with you on camera, but I just want to show you I did a bunch of different combinations of how to rearrange those squares. And so make sure you check out to the very end because I'll show you that. I have everything left for one card we're going to assemble together here today, so that way you can make these as well very easily. I've got my squares, my scrap, my large mat, my card base. I did have to bring in one white card base from my stash because I ran out of that similar store-bought card base color. These are all of my scraps from this Arctic Critters paper pad. That is it. So out of all of them, I did go back and I added a bunch of scraps to the insides of my cards, and that was all I had left. I have my ephemera, my sentiment. Let's go ahead and take our large mat. We're going to add some adhesive and glue this down to our card base. So just like this. Then what we'll do is you're going to add adhesive to the small squares and arrange them however you want on the front of your card. Now, if you follow true to the sketch, then it would look similar to the way that I've laid them out. We're going to go ahead and glue our little scrap strip right on the inside of our card. So we've got most of our paper pretty much added to our card base. We're going to add our sentiment, and I'm bringing in a circle in this one just because I had these printed sentiments in my stash. And then we'll add these ephemera pieces just to decorate the front. And so this is such an easy card sketch, and I absolutely love that there are no scraps left over. This was from a Not Too Shabby blog post from at least a year, 2 years ago. If I can find it, I'll link it down below. Here is a side-by-side comparison of what that sketch looks like. So super easy. You've got the 3 squares, the ephemera, the sentiment. I did switch it out again for that circle, and now our pad is smashed. So again, this was the Not Too Shabby January releases. I used the Paper Pad Club and the add-on Ephemera pack and the stamp and die set of the month. I also did bring in some additional items from my stash from Not Too Shabby. This was a double 6x6 paper pad smashed, and I was able to use up all of that ephemera from the Arctic Critters add-on pack that came with this Paper Pad Club option. Then I also did use the Safari Friends stamp and die set of the month. That obviously is going to go back into my stash, but otherwise we have smashed through 2 6x6 pads. Again, I used up some of these enamel dots, fall is coming, as well as some other ones. These are all the scraps I had from the Arctic Critters paper pad, not very much at all. And then I had a little bit more scraps from the African Critters. So this is it. This is all the paper I had left out of 48 sheets of 6x6. So let's jump into today's project. Here is the recap. I used the Crafty Mama Diary sketch number 1. I'll do a full preview in just a second. I also did the Not Too Shabby sketch. Here's what that one looked like. These are the 2 projects that we did today on camera. We did a little quick tutorial for both of those. Then the previous ones, I did go back and add a bunch of scraps on the insides of my previous cards and also from the African Critters cards as well. So I was able to use up those scraps that I had even from my previous projects to add strips into the insides of my cards. Let's look at all the cards I made, starting with the Arctic Critters paper pad. So here's our project from today. We have those 3 squares, and you see this is staying true to the sketch. And then here I have them sort of in a diagonal, just like this. And then the next one, I have them sort of flip-flopping around. They're not in any sort of real specific pattern. And then I have the 3 at the bottom of the card, you see there, anchored with the center one right over it. And then this one has them sort of the opposite of the sketch. And then we've got a small diagonal, but just using half of the card. So you have so many options with those little squares. Those were the 12 cards we made today. And then the previous cards I had made were these cards. They were so fun. I was able to just use up a ton of the ephemera on these cards. And again, I added some scrap strips to the insides. If you have not checked out that video, I will link it at the end of this one so you can go back and watch how we make these cards specifically. So super fun. So a total of 30 donation cards that came from this one Arctic Critters 6x6 paper pad. Let's show you the African Critters cards now. So this was the card that we did today. Again, this was Helen's Crafty Mama Diary sketch number 1. This is one of my favorites. So here are the cards that we made today. We had 9 sheets. We turned it into 9 cards with very little scrap. And then we'll dive into the final round of cards that I did previously. So those were the ones I was able to use up every single bit of the ephemera pieces that came in the cut apart sheets in that pad. Then I have a ton of extra cards that I had done either on the previous video, which I will link at the very end of this one as well. So I'll link both previous videos at the end. And then I off camera did some additional cards using the same exact November 2020 sketch from Call Me Crafty Al that I used in my video number 2. And I just went ahead and made more. This was such an easy sketch. It had very little waste. I was able to get a ton of cards with very little paper. I am amazed at how many cards I was able to get from just these 2 paper pads, but I wanted to make a ton of cards for donations for this quarter. So I think these just turned out perfect for that. They're going to be for kid donations. So again, 37 donation cards, 67 total between the Arctic and the African Critters paper pads, 67 total cards. Again, these are the January releases from the Not Too Shabby shop. And this was a double 6x6 paper pad smash. I do have that affiliate link. I'll link down below in case you want to make a purchase and haven't already. Again, make sure you check out that hashtag N2S January 24 to get more inspiration from the design team this month using these Not Too Shabby releases. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you got some inspiration. I hope you take out your Not Too Shabby pads and make a ton of cards just like I did. Happy crafting.